Okay, welcome everybody to the External Secrets Operator Project Community Meeting. Would just like to remind everyone that we have a code of conduct. In short, like just be nice to each other. Let me just open the agenda. Let me also share my screen. Okay, so first item, do we want to go over action items from last meeting before?
Yeah, all of them
So
were on me. Like for two community meetings, I didn't do any of them. But I
yeah,
will do them, I promise.
okay. So what's missing from adding sub to?
Everything I didn't even start. I don't know even what's the bits that are missing.
Okay.
I was added to one email list.
Okay.
I got that confirmation.
So regarding that, so we also need to open PRs through to CNCF repos, right? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And
then the other one.
These two are some stale PRs that I committed to just ping for the user to see if they want to keep on. If they don't, just to do it myself because they are kind of important. One is documentation. The other one is some orphanage cleanups. Are like the oldest PRs ever.
Is it this one?
This is the documentation. It even got close due to being stale.
Yeah.
The other one is this one there. This one is actually important for us to put on the code base.
Okay. Oh, I think I remember this one. July. Okay. Cool. Okay, so KubeCon prep. Yeah, I need to add my schedule there. We all need to do that. Oh, you already started.
I just added mine like 2 minutes before the meeting. Last 5 seconds.
Cool. Yeah, so the day that we need to be a bit more careful is Wednesday, right? Because they have the booth crawl.
Yeah.
And I think it will be a bit more like
crowded.
Crowded, yeah. People like going to the booth and talking, yeah. Yeah.
This is from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Yeah. We can all be there. I think it would be nice because people will come like with more quantity, then we can all like welcome everyone and then we can see about the talks. Yeah, I have to check actually. I have no idea which talks I want to attend. But I'll add here as well. Cool.
Did you see the talks already?
No.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a bit crazy. Yeah. It's already Saturday. But yeah, I'll try to finish this today as well, like adding my preferred times there. Do we want like to have like at least 2 or a single person in the booth is fine?
The booth will have 2 chairs from what I've seen, or 2 stools. More than that, one of us will need to be standing, which I think it's kind of okay from the vibes that we had from the last KubeCon on Valencia. It's like people normally would be up in the stand. It's just important to have some stools for the people that are long running, just for them to sit and not be standing all the time, right?
Yes. Yeah, one thing that I was thinking about, like, do we want to have a demo or something like that to show people?
Yes.
That would be nice, right? Like something that we have like ready and then we just run and show like, okay, we are synchronizing secrets. And
yeah, that would be great to have like 1, 2, maybe 3 use cases, just to show them like push secrets,
What
exclude
are
secrets.
the use cases that we want to add here?
I was just thinking about it, and last year, everybody that showed up, at least to us, they were already users, right? But now it's going to be a booth for external security operators. So yeah, it's probably worth it.
Yeah, I think a simple synchronization with one of the big providers, maybe two, like AWS and Google.
Yeah, I think like yeah, probably not everything, but the basic use case, like fetching a single secret, which would be the easiest one, but definitely find and extract these two, and then push secrets and generators. I think
Yeah.
these would be the most important ones, and then everything else like tags and
I think templates might
words.
be a good one.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it's nice because then we have the opportunity to explain. Yeah.
would we
Like
focus
in
on
person.
authentication methods or not really?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I would want to see that demo because I'm probably going to do the same in Cube Huddle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think it would be. Well, I don't really want to, store or handle static secrets. That would be just awful. So maybe we can get a demo cluster running for like this week or maybe 2 weeks, and get workload identity going, and then
we can show that like this is already set up, but we can show how we did it, but not necessarily doing from scratch in front of them because I don't think it would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're not caring about authentication methods, but all of them must run on a workload federation authentication.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Then, anything else about the booth would like to add or discuss?
Some demo slides would be great to maybe just 4 or 5 slides or so. We could probably get these out of my slide deck from the presentation to just have like one page where we list these 3, 4, 5 most important features just as an overview, and then maybe just a couple of examples how like multi-tenant stuff works, and stuff like that.
That's good. Yeah. Cool. Then the reject stock.
Yes,
But
this is to go through the CN reject stock just to be sure that we don't breach any I don't know, SLAs or something like that, any signs that we did. I'm not sure if we can record the rehearsal because then the presentation will be up first than the actual presentation that we do on CN rejects. That's why I put this won't be recorded there, but I really want to show the presentation to you at least.
I guess it depends on when you upload it. So if you upload it next week,
After
then
the
it will be
KubeCon.
fine.
Yeah, okay, cool. So sorry, it's going to be a late upload.
but do you want to do it now? Because
Not necessarily the
like
full
block
rehearsal, but at least show the
going over
presentation
the
content.
slides and like
Yeah.
I agree. Is this one? No,
No.
the other one. Yeah. Okay. Do we want to have an agenda at the beginning?
This doc is already so small. I feel like having an agenda is a little bit pointless because
Yeah.
the first 7 slides is basically us ranting, and then it's like pretty straightforward afterwards, right?
Just 7?
No, it's actually 20 something, but the rant is only on this first 7.
Yeah, do wanna. Oh, one thing we didn't. I don't think we agreed on yet. Like, how are we going to divide this?
Don't know. Let's go over first the content, just to
Okay.
see if
Yeah.
anyone wants
Do
to add.
you wanna share your screen? Then I think it's easier.
Sure. Can you still see it? Yes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So basically, the idea is on the very first slides explain why we are doing that, and basically point to the fact that Kubernetes has very bad support for API versioning, and that to even find the information is hard. So the idea is to let developers have an easy path in the future with some jokes. Then going to explain a little bit API versioning. This is a joke to say versioning is hard no matter where we are.
Mhm.
Since Sebs actually smiled, I take a note that it was a good joke.
Yeah, the thumbs up from Darth Vader is nice.
Explaining a little bit the whole V1 alpha, V1 beta, V1, and then explaining the very basic. And I want to put this example because it was the one that originated the whole conversion webhook, right? It is such a simple thing, and yet breaks everything, and your life is a mess. And that's the one that I want to bring attention to. This is the end of the rant. Then it starts with the options that we have in order to do that. The first option will be to not care, not provide an upgrade path, and just go creating new versions. These versions will break between themselves, and you just don't care. It's up to your users to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes your life easier, no extra code. You don't even need to go away from V1 Alpha 1. And sometimes it actually makes sense. Uh, Cons, you aren't really future proof. You will have a low credibility with enterprise users, and you will never really get away from alpha if you are really following the API versioning itself. Uh, and we did use that on ESO. One example was on push secret, where we had by a mistake added this remote ref as an array, as in a slice, but effectively it's not a slice, it should be only a single block. So in order to upgrade this, we didn't provide any upgrade paths to the user because we considered this behavior as a buggy behavior. We just updated it to reflect the spec that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is scripts. Here is the idea that if you have breaking changes, instead of trying to create a beta one or whatever, you just create a new domain itself and then use a script to convert from this domain group to this other domain group. And then you can do whatever you want here on the script to convert. You can go all in on your customization needs. That's very good. Uh, the community can help you build the script as they see fit for the use cases. You can have multiple controllers in the setup, but as the all-in is a good, is also a bad thing because it increases your complexity. You need to keep backporting things back to the CLI, and it's super tricky to do a live migration. And where we used this on ESO was when we first converted from Kubernetes external secrets into the new ESO structure. So since it was one manifest to other two with different groups, it kind of makes sense to create a script. And the script is the cast to ESO, the link for it, just to show its own repo, and that all of the complications that we had here on the cons are things that we actually live by. Like it's super hard to actually keep the tool up to date on track. The third one is the conversions webhook. So nice user experience, migrations are live, only one single source of truth, well integrated with the code base. And sorry, I missed the slide of the it's just instead of using the automatic Kubernetes conversion, we do it by the webhooks, and then we can move forward in a simple way. The disadvantages, cons, is super complex to set up certificates. We need to template CRD definitions, which make Helm user lives harder. and cluster networking starts to become important, meaning a lot of issues arise depending on how the cluster networking is set up, which is very environment dependent. And here is where we use conversion webhooks on external secrets. Back to the main point, it was simply to add an extract here because we wanted to create the find operation, so we had to go through all of this hell. Then do a simple, there is no silver bullet. I like this slide. Thanks for making it nice, Lucas. And
worries.
then the general advices that we can give from our experience. First of all, try not to have breaking changes is probably the path forward. But of course, that's not possible. We cannot really foresee the future. So if you can do a fast breaking change, that's better because then you don't need really to consider an upgrade path. You can do it on a same API versioning. However, you will come to a time that you need to introduce a breaking change later on. If that's the case, if you have the capacity to support certificate handling and you want to provide only a temporary upgrade path for users, you should go for the conversion webhook. Otherwise, if you need something more permanent or you have a very complicated setup, then you go for scripts. That's the basic idea. That's the basic, I don't know, presentation.
Yeah, this last slide has a lot of text.
But I think this one is important to have a lot of text, right? It's the very end. After that slide, we're going to say questions.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, so one thing that is kind of implicit is the whole versioning scheme within Kubernetes. I'm not sure if you want to briefly touch on that with the like alpha, beta, GA.
Yeah, you could explain that.
Okay, so
The
I guess
slide has
there's
no text, but we are going to spend some time explaining what it means.
yeah, but that's how Kubernetes does it, which doesn't necessarily mean that controllers or
Need
more
to do.
generally, yeah, that they have to implement that. That's like, I
Yeah,
guess, like the state of today is that most controllers and apps do that, but in the past that wasn't so much the case.
yeah. That's why I even put this slide as what do we mean by API versioning? It's actually saying, hey, for all what it's worth, we're going to follow Kubernetes standards here, meaning that we're trying to provide something like that. It might not be your case. You might simply don't care. You might need to follow a different path. We are following that because we know that if we follow that, Kubernetes itself will follow this order as well when we serve the CRD. That will be the main idea here. But yeah, it's the idea of this slide is not only explaining v1 alpha, v1 beta, etc., but to really explain the context, to set the context of what is this presentation about.
And then also touch on stability and support.
And then also rant about API versioning shouldn't really be only about open API calls, but also as behavior. And introducing breaking changes to the behavior itself should not be the case, but then it's becoming political. I really feel that I need to touch on the whole 123 to 124 issue.
Yeah. The first slide, the third slide actually. Can you go to it?
This one here.
Do you want to say it's the worst?
Here?
Yeah, I guess it's in the context for this talk. That's fine. I would say.
Yeah.
But still, the question is, so there's a lot of ranting, which is good and which is fine and which is relatable. But still, like, what potential improvement would you suggest then?
For Kubernetes itself, conversion webhooks need to be separated out, just like admission and validation webhooks are. This is what really makes conversion webhooks so intangible. and messy. That will be the single change that people will need to do in order to make that path more clear, more easy. But if there was other ways to do more complex out of OpenAPI schema conversion with YAML, for instance, that would also work.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess like it would be great, if you're giving this talk and people are listening, it's great to, like give them ideas and give them some feed for their thoughts. So maybe something comes out of it. Maybe someone just steps up and makes the effort to write up a cap for that to implement that. That would be great. So I guess, just maybe just mention it in the end or so.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Maybe even before going to the options, we can put here, what would the ideal world look like? But yeah, probably in the end, actually, because
You say in Kubernetes, but what about like KubeBuilder itself? Like more specific.
even if that is on KubeBuilder, we cannot really do much, right? The issue is that we had to build so many things just to leverage one feature of Kubernetes CRD definition, because that's how the CRD definition works. How would that be an easier path? One, if there was a built-in way to do conversion with some specific manifests, so we wouldn't need to necessarily call a webhook, a conversion webhook, but just refer to a conversion manifest or whatever. Or we actually make the webhook itself, the configuration of the webhook itself, easier. And this can be done by separating the conversion webhook configuration, just like the admission and the validation and mutation webhooks are.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, sounds great. How much time do you have for that talk?
3 minutes. I think we will be just on time with it. I think it's 25 plus 5, right, Lucas? 5
Yes.
questions.
Yeah.
I guess the worst thing regarding the conversion webhooks is the support that you have to provide to your users, because this whole networking thing, this is like that was a big thing when we released that version. We had like so many support issues and questions.
We still have, right? From
We
time to
still
time.
have still open issues regarding some weird
Fargate.
configuration,
Yeah.
Fargate and whatnot. So it's
it's a new thing to maintain. Yeah, you can also add this like in the cons. I think you added like the complexity already talks about it. Yeah, it's basically a new thing to maintain.
You can put here.
Give support.
We can even put here, like as a general comment.
People will complain.
People will complain.
And then suddenly they want to use your controller without these conversion webhooks, and then you have like there's still like way more stuff to maintain. And yeah, there's a whole slew of other problems that you're going to introduce with that.
Which is why the first suggestion is how to do API versioning. Don't. If you need to, then go for conversion webhooks. It's really sad to realize that my how-to was don't. Just don't. Figure out another way. You'll be...
Yeah, but yeah, we can also talk about that. Like a lot of controllers, when they are like, when they have new versions, they just break. They don't care. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, no retro compatibility.
And that's one thing that I actually want to do in the callouts. Like, this is why so many people simply don't care about it. This is why you as an end user are so pissed with so many projects that break changes and don't tell you. The reason is it's super hard to actually properly do version control.
Yes.
And then we can actually say that on what the ideal world would look like.
Yeah.
I think there's still one more thing that I had in the back of my head regarding storage version migration, which is still like an issue you need to deal with at some point. Currently, our storage version is v1 beta 1, I believe, but at some point we want to go to GA, and we want to deprecate and remove v1 beta 1. But if this is storage version, we have to upgrade that storage version to the GA version. And how are you going to do that? Like, this is a manual process a user has to go through. They need to update
Not
each and
really.
every night.
The versions is stored on etcd. The controller will do it by itself, as long as the users don't keep creating the deprecated versions. After a full reconcile on every external secret store manifest, it's going to be all up to date. Because the controller, when it watches the new GA version, the webhook will be in place. The controller will try to get the V1. The webhook will get the V1 beta 1 from etcd. The controller will update it to be V1. It will be saved as V1 on etcd. That is thankfully done automatically, but it's a pain in the ass to actually test it out, to actually make sure it's working right. With
Okay,
the
it's good to
webhook.
know. So, but even if, because the controller only changes, if at all, the status field, if the controller doesn't change the status, then the controller will not update the resource and then it stays.
What happens is that we changed also the controller from being fetching V1 alpha 1 to start to fetch V1 beta 1, right? So the controller is actually trying to save a different API version there when it does the status patch.
But if it doesn't do a status patch at all,
then you have old
To
manifest
do it
there.
manually.
Just like if we upgrade the CRDs and have the controller down, all of the manifests on etcd will be on the older version, and people can manually migrate them. It is a side case though, because KubeBuilder actually provides good support for that. Actually, this good.
you're trolling.
Yeah.
I mean, like if our users use a refresh interval with 0, then the controller will skip the reconciliation and won't do nothing. So in that case,
Not really,
it will stay
because
forever.
even with the refresh interval on 0, whenever the controller starts, that manifest gets synced. So in order to upgrade the controller, we are going to change the code base from V1 beta 1 to V1.
Yeah, but there's no update happening.
There
Or
is.
is there?
From what I already seen,
Not
even
on the
if you have
secret,
external
but on
secrets,
the custom
even
resource.
I think even on the secret, if you have an external secret with refresh interval 0, you stop the controller, you start the controller, that manifest will be caught.
Okay.
Like, we can try it again. I use that all the time to do my tests, but yeah.
Yeah, anyways, it's not too important to figure that out right now. So
It's important to mention though, because even if it works for us, doesn't necessarily mean it will work for our audience. Okay. That is pretty much it that I wanted to show regarding the presentation. Me and Lucas still need to rehearse and decide how this talk is going to be done.
Yeah. We can rehearse after this. No, actually, I
I
have
have
something.
yeah, me too.
Cool. I had something I should have took notes.
It's the same even
Oh,
if we
yeah, one
don't have
thing.
conversion webhooks, right?
Yeah, I was thinking like this is something that people need to worry, like user needs to worry even like without thinking of custom controllers, just Kubernetes. Like when the new Ingress version came out, and it was like very important to everyone to upgrade, and like people needed to do that. So yeah, it's something that people need to be aware anyways.
That's good. So we have one slide to add. Other than that, same solid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will stop sharing them.
Okay. Where's the agenda?
I just wanted to mention that I would change the bullet trying to hit the bees to put a werewolf or something more dramatic, more super bullet. Just kidding. Feels good.
But I think the comment that I made when I did a slide, it was like exactly that. Like you cannot use a silver bullet to kill a swarm of bees. Like it will not even hit it, and like it's only useful for a werewolf
Oh, okay, good.
or something like that. I don't remember.
Okay, be ready
That
to
sounds good.
explain it.
um, okay. Do we have anything else we'd like to discuss?
Just who takes the actions on doing the examples and the slides?
I can try to prepare the examples. But we like I can prepare the examples, but then we have to have them ready in every laptop, right? Because we'll
Yeah,
swap.
my idea was to create an external secrets examples repo under external
Yes.
secrets, or just examples actually, so people can read external secrets slash examples. Just add it there, and I think setting up repo and content is one job. The other one is setting up the environment itself, right? So
Yes.
preparing workload identity, etc., etc., etc.
I got that. It's actually in our repository. I can just run that. I have that somewhere in my local file system lying around. I can just apply that, and then we have it running. Though every one of us then still needs access to AWS. We have this infrastructure repository. Yeah, we need to onboard Sebastian there, but I'm not sure if everyone's already onboarded there. But yeah, but once you have access, then you then could access the cluster.
We have like credentials on OnePass, right?
Um,
Are they those like full admin, like on the root account?
no, the root account is separated. So this infrastructure repository sets up IAM users, and then you have to. This IAM user is doesn't have any permissions except for assuming a role like admin or GitHub
Yeah.
Actions or read only or something like that. So yeah, you need to first need to onboard yourself with your email address and a password, and then you can log in and assume a role, etc., etc.
Okay.
Oh, cool. That was one of the questions that I had because I wanted to do a demo. I actually have another repo with demos and for external security operator that I just started. It's not a big deal. It's not a huge thing, but it has one demo that is obviously that is always like amazes people that are not used to external secret operator, which is having one external secret and two secret store. I have cluster secret stores, and just changing in one in the external secret, the cluster secret store that I'm going to use. So I show them how the generated secret, the sync secret, has different values depending on the cluster store that I'm using.
Ah,
I obviously have the same secret in both. In I had it in Azure Key Vault and AWS with the same name, same structure. So I would just use the same name in the external secret, and that's a cool demo that people really appreciate.
Cool. And then, do we only use AWS?
AWS and HashiVault. And HashiVault, I wouldn't even go to the full path of creating workload identity Kubernetes service account. I would just go for simple Vault Dev local cluster. So we can also...
It's just a simple helm install away, so yeah, we can do that. That's easy.
Okay. So, Moritz, you prepare the environment, and maybe I can prepare some of the examples.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, but still, you gotta onboard. So everyone has to onboard himself.
Yes.
But we still, can figure that out during KubeCon in the beginning, the last bit. So that should be fine.
Yes. On the slides, what do we want on the slides?
That features that we have from Moritz's presentation, even that's super nice.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit around
different scenarios.
Yes, authentication scenarios, basically the things that we are not going to demo, basically. So how can we use cluster secret stores? How can we use secret stores? How
and
can
the
we
diagrams.
use... Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. Thanks. Anything else?
Happy travels for everyone.
Yes. Thank you.
When are you leaving, Gustavo? You are the one that's
Friday.
flying the most. Friday.
12 hours.
Nice.
Okay. So thank you all for joining. I'll stop the record. Oh, you